Okay, everybody, hope you can hear me clearly. I have put everyone on mute, but please send me a message on the chat if you need to be unmuted, if anyone has any questions or anything. My name is Rabbi Sean Cannon, here from Cape Town, South Africa, head of Jewish Life and Learning and the campus rabbi of the United Herzlia Schools. And thank you to everyone for joining, whether you've joined in Israel tonight, South Africa tonight, or in America this morning. I appreciate everyone's time. We'll learn together for about half an hour or so, 25 minutes even, for the Le'uluas Nishmas upliftment of the Neshama for the late Israel ben David. His Neshama should have an aliyah, and all the amazing work that has gone in to this unbelievable Pirkei Avot program. Thank you to everyone at the Office of the Chief Rabbi of South Africa who's been coordinating the whole project. And in terms of Eric's legacy, this is just a continuation of all of the amazing work that was done during Eric's life, as well as obviously the continuation of that as we all continue to learn, to grow, to do mitzvot, and to do good things in honoring Eric's legacy. As well, just Frankie to send a request that we should also learn tonight for a speedy recovery of Roselle Biggs, who worked for the Cohen family in Cape Town, and she's unfortunately on a ventilator, and she should please God have a speedy recovery, as well as Le'uluas Nishmas. Unfortunately, we don't have a Hebrew name, but Sagit Saxton, who tragically passed away. And please God, this learning tonight should also be an upliftment for her neshama. Okay, everybody, let's get started. Let's learn some Pirkei Avot together. I will share my screen, and I'm going to do every word we learn tonight, as we said, is in Eric's memory, but it also is a word of Torah, which I will obviously give in Hebrew, but I will translate every word into English so that everyone can feel they understand. I will share my screen as well so that everyone can see the Mishna in English. In some versions, this is Mishna 3 of the second chapter of Pirkei Avot, and some it's 4. So I've just whipped out from Safaria over here so everyone can follow along. Please have in mind when we're learning tonight's Mishnah, the beautiful ideas that are coming out and all of the benefit that should have for all of us, and the growth in Torah learning that we can do and achieve if we learn this Mishnah, as every Mishnah in Pirkei Avot, which speaks so much to our values and our life. Okay, everybody, here we go. Starting at the beginning of the Mishnah in Hebrew. The Mishnah says, Hu haya omer, and that means he used to say, who's the he? So the he is going back to Reb Shimon ben Gamliel, who is the son of Rabbi Gamliel, and he was the previous author for the first Mishnahs of the second chapter. So whenever it says in Pirkei Avot just the word who, which in Hebrew means he, who means he. So I know in Hebrew it's confusing, who, W-H-O means he, but yes, who means he, and when it says he, it's just a continuation of the previous Mishnah in terms of its author, just a continuation. Okay, so Rabbi Shimon Gamliel teaches us an amazing lesson tonight, and I really think that when I needed to choose a Mishnah from the second chapter, and this Mishnah immediately jumped to mind thinking about Eric, and as we unpack the Mishnah together, I think it will become really obvious as to why. And I'm sure that the Cohens and the Sanks and the greater Samson family and friends have all felt that when we learn all the Mishnahs of Pirkei Avot, because Pirkei Avot is really about Jewish values, and Eric most certainly lived his whole life with Jewish values at the forefront. Okay, says the Mishnah, Aseh ritzonoi k'ritzoncha, k'dei she'aseh ritzoncha k'ritzono. What does that mean? That means if a person is able, we all have our own will, our own desires in life, our own willingness to do something. We want to go out and we want to do something for ourselves. That in Hebrew is called a ratzon. That's what we want to do. But obviously, as Jews, we also have a set of values. We have a value system going back 3,300 years, which has really formulated the way we think and the way we put emphasis on different things in life. And that is obviously all garnered out from our holy and special Torah. So sometimes there's a resistance or a friction between what we want to do, perhaps, and what Judaism or the Torah might expect us to do. When it's a clash of values, what do we choose? So that's what this Mishnah deals with. And the Mishnah says, if you're able to make his will like your own, in order that you should do your will like it was his. That's the goal. So if you have a certain set of values in life and you're able to make those values your values, so then when you wake up in the morning and you do something, you do an act of chesed for someone, you go visit someone, it sometimes has tension. Do I want to go do a mitzvah of Bikra Cholim to visit somebody who's sick, or do I want to go to the beach, or do I want to go to the movies? So if you're able to say, I'm going to make it that I know that Hashem would want me to go and visit the sick person. So you're able to go and garner within yourself the strength to say, you know what, I know that that's the right thing to do, and I'm going to go and do it anyway. And you're able to do that in a way in which that really becomes your own will. So then that's an achievement of something tremendous, says the Mishnah. You're able to actually go visit that person who's not well, and you're doing it not just because it's the right thing to do, but you're actually doing it because you've got to a stage where that's what you want to do. You want to do the right thing. And if you're able to do that, says the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot, chapter 2, Mishnah number 4, then there's a next step that takes place. And that is that if you are able to batel ritzoncha mifnei ritzono, if you're able to nullify your own will in front of Hashem's, in other words, if you're able to put aside what you might want to do for a greater cause, for a greater purpose, kedei shevatel ritzon acherim mifnei ritzoncha. So then Hashem does something amazing. He casts aside others' will, meaning other people, who may create tension, or who may create friction, or who may create stoppages for doing what you want to do. And if you're able to have created a stoppage of what you might want to do for a greater cause, so then Hashem will return in kind, teaches this amazing Mishnah, that he will cast aside others' will to clear the roadblock, so to speak, to clear the roadblock, to clear the highway, to clear the seas, that you will be able to achieve what you want to achieve, and there won't be any friction or stumbling blocks in your way. That's an amazing idea. And I think that it's an idea, once again, to take this first half of the Mishnah and to just speak about the late, great Eric Samson. That is, in my experience of having met him only in his later years, but in all the stories that Frankie and Stephen told me, was really this point, is that even if it was the difficult thing to do, even if it was the thing to do which was not popular, even if it was the thing to do which took a tremendous amount of effort, and it could have been much easier to just relax and be on holiday. But Eric always took that extra step to say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do an act of chesed, or I'm going to give tzedakah, or I'm going to build a hospital. And that's not something that you always naturally as a human being want to do. But if you do that, so then the roadblocks are cleared. And we see that beautiful mazal coming through in Eric's life so beautifully, that so much opportunity and so many good things came the Samson family's way, and so much blessing, and the roadblocks were all cleared. But it's because, I believe, in part from the teaching of this Mishnah, whereas you always put the forefront of your mind in life, doing the right thing, then Hashem clears the roadblocks for you. And the Mishnah continues in a new author by the name of Hillel, the great Hillel and Shammai, the great Talmudic academies of the Jewish people, around the turn of the millennia, in around the year 50 BCE. And Hillel taught, Al tifrash minat tzibur, do not separate yourself from the community. Va'al tamin ba'atzmecha ad yom muscha, and don't believe in yourself till the day you die. Va'al tadin es chavercha ad shetagia lemakoimoi, and do not judge your friend, your fellow, till you reach his place. Va'al tomar davar she'efshar lishmoa shesoifa lishma'a, and do not teach something in the hope that maybe one day it will be understood. Rather teach it clearly and understandably now. Va'al tomar she'kepaneh eshneh, and do not say, one day when I'm free, I will learn. Shema loy tepaneh, because perhaps you won't be free, meaning free with time. What a beautiful Mishnah from Hillel, and I'll break it down again into its various parts. Hillel's teaching, first and foremost, as a Jew, we need to be together. Do not separate yourself from the community. Be someone who is an integral part of the Jewish nation. And when you do that, you get tremendous what we call siyata dishmaya, heavenly assistance to achieve your objectives. But first and foremost, you need to anchor yourself. Your anchor needs to be within, not without. And when you're able to do that, great things will come. And that's, again, first and foremost, as we know so well, Samson family, and passing on that legacy to the children and the grandchildren. And even when we were watching, for those who saw the yahrzeit video will have seen from the grandchildren, that legacy being passed on to be firmly rooted within Am Yisrael, within the Jewish people. The Mishnah continues, Va'al tamin ba'atzmachad yom muscha. This is a lesson in humility. Do not believe in yourself until the day you die. What that means is, do not think that you are free of any lacking. Do not be haughty, do not think so greatly of yourself, because you never know what's around the next corner. And again, hearing the many stories over the last year until the yahrzeit of Eric's life, the concept of humility came up time and time again. It's like almost you couldn't have written the script for this Mishnah. That's exactly the values that Eric espoused, never believing, never backing that it was just him, always working as a team, always doing it together with others, even in times where he may have been the contributor, but he always knew there needed to be others to help to get a project going, to do it, to get it done, to get it up and running. Do not believe in yourself only, your own strengths only. Make others your partner and make Hashem your partner. And then next the Mishnah continues, this is such an important lesson. When we talk about Jewish values, it's this one. How quickly are we often in life to judge people unfavorably? But this Mishnah is telling us, think a little, pause a little. Do not judge your friend until you've been in his place, or you've walked, as the famous English expression goes, till you've walked a mile in his shoes. And again, couldn't have said it more aptly, a Mishnah that's 2,000 years old, and that's still alive and kicking in the wonderful legacy of Eric Israel ben David, and how he taught us to not judge people unfavorably, giving people the benefit of the doubt that they have. We don't know what it's like to be them. And in that way, if we're able to do that, when somebody does something that perhaps irks you, that upsets you, where it could be 50-50, this Mishnah is teaching you, you don't know exactly that person's whole story. You don't know, as we say in Yiddish, you don't know all their pekalach. And so therefore, if we're more sensitized to that and we're able to judge favorably, then we actually don't hold on to as much pain. We don't hold on to as much sorrows. We're able to let things go. And life actually becomes much more meaningful and much more productive. And then to end off, everybody, the Mishnah ends with the final idea about how we use our time. This Mishnah for me personally has always been a guiding light in trying to maximize every opportunity in my amazing community here in Cape Town and my rabbinic position, particularly focusing on the younger Jews of Cape Town, and how every moment counts, and you never know the opportunity, you never know the moment that may impact a child's life. One conversation, one engagement could plant a seed to last a lifetime. And really this Mishnah is teaching two important facets of that coin. On the one side, such an important lesson for someone in a position in education particularly, but even in life as a parent. And that is, which means don't teach something that is very difficult to understand for somebody else in the hope that they may just come to understand it later. Sit with them, be patient, have the conversation, hear their perspective, listen well, and then perhaps go through an idea or a concept that you're trying to give over. Don't just leave it and think that my job's done. You know, I've given a lesson, I've taught a lesson. Particularly for me as a teacher, this resonates so strongly. You have to go again and try again and make sure that the lesson's being heard. Even if sometimes it's frustrating, but when you do that, when you act in a certain way, and when you speak in a certain way, and when you teach in a certain way, and you're able to consistently, time and time again, give over a certain message, then that message starts to resonate. Then it starts to sink in. Don't just do something once or do a kind act once. It extends to actions as well. Don't just do a kind deed once, do it again and again, so that the message, let's say if you're trying to teach your children the right thing to do, you do it again and again. And I think once again, so easily to apply this message to Eric's neshama, because he was somebody who, till his much later years, when he was only really ill, but until that point, his whole life, never thought, I'm done. I'm here. I've reached this milestone. There's more opportunities. There's more chesed to be done. There's more Torah to be learned. There's more that the Jewish people need. There's another hospital in Israel that needs to be built. And even if I may be in my 70s or my 80s, I'm going to do it. Because it's about consistently reinforcing that message. And then the rest of us can strongly learn from it. And in the final line of the Mishnah to share, quite a long Mishnah, but a beautiful one, so many fundamental points. And that is, Va'al tomar kashi'i paneh eshne shema loi tzepaneh. Again, a similar idea, but a different spin. And that is, don't think that one day I will do the right thing. One day I will learn. One day I will grow. One day I will be better. When I've got time later on, when I retire, everyone's looking forward to their retirement. That's when I will do more. This Mishnah says, no, Shema lo tepaneh. Maybe you won't become free. Maybe you won't end up having the time. Maximize every moment. You know, to think about life in years, even to say you give a blessing to somebody that they should live ad me'ah ve'esrim until 120 is a beautiful blessing that we give to people. But when you think about a life of 120, it expands and it extends, and you think it's kind of perhaps never really coming to an end. But when you break it, those years down into 365 days, and then you take each of those days and you break them down into 24 hours, and you take those 24 hours, probably 8 of which you need to sleep, so 16 waking hours in the day, and then you think there, at that place, what's my plan for today? And if we can maximize that, and if we can think about what is our plan just for today, how can we make a difference in somebody's life? How can we do more? How can we think about somebody else? How can we build a program? How can we build something for our community, something to make somebody's life better, something to give tzedakah for, something where we can do something we didn't do today. Maybe we can do tomorrow is not the right attitude, but rather say something we weren't able to do today. Maybe we can still find 5 more minutes to still do it. And to everybody here who came to the shir, you're a living example of that, because, well, if it is 8 at night in Israel, it's late, and in South Africa, and everybody said, I'll find half an hour to put a Zoom shiur on a Mishna in Pirkei Avot and learn a Mishna. And who knows the impact of one Mishna? We've done one Mishna together as everybody and all the amazing teachers and Rabbonim who have learned a Mishna, Lu'elu's Nishmas, for Eric, for the upliftment of his neshama. And so when you do that and you take that time, we know that the word Mishnah is the same letters of the word neshama. It's a very famous teaching, and that's exactly why I'm sure that the Cohens and the Samsons and the Sanks have chosen to learn Pirkei Avot. Because every time you learn it by Mishna, in the bite-sized chunk of a Mishna. You don't have to learn pages and pages. You learn one Mishna, and every time you do, you tap into neshama, you tap into the soul. So please God, in that legacy and merit, we once again, I'm very humbled to have taught, to learn together this beautiful Mishnah, and I thank the whole Cohen and Shank Mishpacha and the greater Samson family and friends of the greater Samson family for the opportunity. And please God, we should do lots of learning. And I think everyone could pick up, and I hope if anyone still wasn't able to see, my screen is still shared. I'll put the English there again, just to refresh quickly in the last 1 minute we have the ideas we learned tonight. Firstly, if you can set aside your own desires and will in life to sometimes do something greater, so then Hashem clears the roadblock. That was the first Mishnah we learned from Shimon ben Gamliel. And then we learned the teaching of Hillel to say, first and foremost, anchor yourself in the community. Be a Jew. Be proud to be a Jew. Put yourself in the forefront, not in the background. Be in the inside and not in the outside. And when you do that, the blessing starts to flow. That's the first place that the blessing starts to flow. And then do not trust yourself until the day you die, meaning don't think it's always your ability. We don't say that it's on my merit and on my back and on my hard work. It's all of us together that can work as a team, and obviously the help that we get from above. Then the next point we discussed was judging somebody favorably and the benefits that that has for you and for the world around you. When you're able to not judge people until you've reached their place, and to give them the benefit of the doubt and give them a leg up, not a casting judgment down. And then we went into the world of teaching, a little bit of teaching ideas or living ideas that you teach, and don't say something that can be understood, trusting that in the end it might be understood, but that rather we should re-emphasize our words and re-emphasize our actions till we know that the penny has dropped and the message has been passed on. And then lastly, we ended, do not say, when I have leisure, I will study, or when I have leisure, I will do the right thing. But perhaps you won't get that leisure time. And in having such an attitude will ultimately make us maximize the time that we have in this very short life that we get to have the privilege of walking the earth. And so please God, we should take a lot of chizuk and a lot of inspiration, and we should go out not just in our own lives, but thinking and having a bit of consciousness of what someone like Eric Samson did for the world, and in our own way. Doesn't have to mean that we have to give the same amount to tzedakah or that we have to do the exact same actions, but it just means in our own world, towards the own blessings that Hashem has given us, what can we do according to what we've been given? And I'm sure if we all dig deeply, we can all do that little bit extra, just find that extra 5 minutes in the day that we spoke about and do something more and squeeze in that 5 minutes more to make a difference. And those small differences all add up and ultimately become very big differences. Thank you, everybody. I wish much bracha and Herzlia to all of you. I'm not sure if anyone has any questions. I can unmute. I'm happy to take if there were any questions on the Mishnah with pleasure. But thank you to everyone for the chizuk. Thank you for the nice comments I'm getting on the private chat as well. I know Zoom's not the same as a live shiur. Please God, one day we'll also do some live Pirkei Avot shiurim when the Cohens are back in town, perhaps one day, and we can do more again. Thank you, everybody. Yeshar koach and kol tov.